everything I'm gonna do today has an intention. I think a lot of people just aimlessly train, and that's why they spend months, if not years, of making no progress. So I'm gonna speak to the intent of everything I'm doing today, why I'm doing it, why I'm structuring things in a certain way. And ultimately, one thing I really wanna touch on today is I preach functional fitness. What is functional fitness? So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about how it pertains to firefighters, but let's get into it. So the first thing I wanna do is I wanna just warm up. Today's gonna be a push focus day. So definitely wanna warm up the chest and the musculature of the shoulders. So we're gonna start with 3 sets of 10 of hand release push-ups. Then we're gonna go into a little face pull with the cables. Again, warming up chest, warming up rotators. We're gonna rely on our handy 40965 for our workout as well. So getting in here, we're gonna select strength this time. We did a run this morning, but now we're into a little strength session. So let's get to it. So like I said, 10 hand release push-ups, and we're gonna go right into a face pull here. Get the heart rate up, get the blood flowing, get the shoulders warmed up. Again, one hand release, when I take my hands off that dead stop, really working some power, some explosive power off the bottom, as well as when I retract my shoulders, when I lift my hands off the ground, and we're activating some of that posterior aspect of the shoulder. So again, face pull, we're not going crazy heavy here. The idea here, this is a warm up. This isn't really our working sets. We're just getting the shoulders ready for work and rock and roll from there. 9 and 10. One thing you're gonna notice about this session and everything I do really, we're going from one exercise immediately into the other. These exercises are usually gonna complement one another, meaning if I'm doing one thing here, this exercise is gonna challenge me in a similar way that's complementary to the first movement, but also it gets the heart rate up. So not only are we developing strength, but also working some of our aerobic capacity because we're bouncing from one movement to the other. So back into that hand release. Beautiful. Now 10 here. What you guys will notice, I'm working fast, and I'm working fast intentionally. Not only do we have busy lives and we have stuff we gotta get done, I don't have an hour to be in the gym, but it's just about being efficient with my time. And again, really burning some calories in that process. So if you're in the gym for 60, 90 minutes, I hate to tell you, you're doing something wrong. 30, 35, 40 minutes, that's plenty. Walk it out. Again, getting into that posterior chain. Last 10. Oh. Imagine that there's a pencil between your shoulder blades, dragging with the elbows, trying to squeeze that pencil. Beautiful. So, first movement, I've heard it called a viper press before. I kind of refer to it as like a tall kneeling push press. This is sort of a tall kneeling position. We're gonna basically go from here. This is really good because from this position, not only when I go down, am I stretching my quads and hip flexors, but as I come up, I'm working that hinge movement. I should really feel my glutes engage. And in doing so, again, not only reinforcing that hinge pattern, but also flexing the glutes, supporting the low back, and then pressing overhead. So we're gonna go from that, and then we're gonna immediately go into high plank. We're doing alternating toe touch. So I'm working some core strength here, but also because this is the beginning of the workout, doing this first movement, opening up the front of the legs, doing the second movement, opening up the back of the legs is just gonna have my body primed and ready to move. So Again, there's an intentionality behind everything we do. We're not just doing things monotonously. Pro tip, while using kettlebells, especially holding in that front rack position, do yourself a favor, don't destroy your $900 wash and turn it inwards. So we got 35-pounder kettlebells here. It's not about being a hero. We're gonna shoot for around 6 to 10 reps and then go from there depending on how you're feeling. So again, in that front rack position, knees about shoulder apart, hinging back, stretching the quads, then pressing up overhead. You're feeling a good stretch in those quads. You hear the knees do a little snap, crackle, pop at the beginning there. Also working some flexibility of those ankles. Now we're gonna go to that high plank position. We're gonna do an alternating shoulder to or alternating toe touch. We're gonna do 10 reps as well. Shoot up a little run this morning. Feeling let's open up through that posterior chain. Honestly, training this functional manner, it's really gonna expose a lot of things. Like when you guys go in this position, if you feel your quads, your knees streaming, that means that there's probably a ton of tension right here. So it's a really good thing, something that we should be working on. So this is really gonna expose some of those weak links and ultimately train them. So we're gonna go back into our next set. Again, you can see this constant theme of working quickly. Squeeze those glutes to support that low back as you press overhead. Absorb, hinge, and press up. As you can see, working the full body there. Everything from our angles all the way up overhead. Full body dynamic movement. Keeping that heart rate up. 135 beats a minute. Almost the same as my run this morning, but we're doing it in a fun, approachable way. Working some strength. Awesome. So again, guys, heart rate 138, maintaining that aerobic heart rate while working strength, killing multiple birds with one stone. So let's just, for example, quickly have a look here. So let's compare this to traditional military press with all you guys have done in class. So when I say what is functional strength, there's nothing functional about this. When in your day-to-day life are you in this position? My core is not having to work because it's being supported by the bench. I'm pressing overhead in this very simple, non-dynamic, rudimentary way. Working my shoulder in isolation, yes, but again, range of motion and variety of movement is very limited. Again, core is not working. Basically just working my delts, which if you're a bodybuilder, time in a bites. I'll take this for example. Like I said, not only are we working our delts, we're getting some mobility in the ankles, stretching out the front of the quads, reinforcing this hinge movement that is so important in so many different things you do day to day, while developing all the same things. So you can see it speaks for itself how much more beneficial something like this can be, especially for firefighters. There's nothing about our career that is cookie cutter, out of the box. It is all unpredictable and dynamic, and our training should reflect that. So final set of those toe taps. Heart rate's increased, body temperature is increased. Body's getting ready to work. Beautiful. So now you guys tuning things up again. You'll see what what we're referring is, or what we're doing here is referred to as a superset. So doing one exercise immediately into another, again, maintaining that aerobic heart rate, and don't do rib pumps on. So here, that first core movement, you're opening up the posterior chain. When I do some complementary movements, I'm thinking, how can I work the body in 360 degrees? So, you know, I address the back. Now we're gonna do a little rotation. So we're gonna kind of, we're gonna challenge that part of the body. So for this, we're gonna do a little half kneeling table chop. And then over here, we're gonna go heavier for these ones. We're gonna grab our 50 freeze, and we're gonna do a little hollow press. So when I say that, basically what I mean is we're gonna go on the ground. We're gonna assume that hollow hold position, so low back press on the ground, feet out in front of us, shoulders off the mat. Now we're gonna press. So there, not only are we working our chest, triceps, but we're working that core as well. Into this half knee and the cable chop. So again, some rotational core strength, which is great, but also, as I'm in this position, I'm flexing this bottom leg, the glute on this bottom leg, and we're really getting a nice opening up of the front of our body as we rotate. So, and this is the beauty of functional strength, dynamic movement, is we're really moving the body and how it was intended to work. So 7, 8, 9, and 10 per side. Stretching on the other side. Same thing over here. If you're a firefighter snake, what does that feel like? What does that kind of movement feel like? Forcing a door, advancing a hose line. This is stuff we're actually doing on the job. We used the military press example before. Let's use another example of a typical bodybuilding style movement that is working the same musculature, but has way less benefit for our purpose. So we've all done these before, right? Again, look at that window range of motion. Other than my front delts, my triceps, and my chest working, nothing else in my body is really being challenged. Now all of a sudden, you hop into this hollow hold press. When I go to this, core is working. Look at the quads. Look how flexed those quads are, because again, everything from neck down is being worked. Full body strength. They call it a kinetic chain for a reason. It's a chain. Each link is supposed to integrate to the next, and it's supposed to work as a cohesive unit. Balancing around here. Usually I would have the music blaring at about 5,000 decibels. One thing you should try to do with any sort of one-sided exercise, guys, try to switch what side you're using between sets. So I started on my left side last time, starting with the right side this time. And guys, think about it. If we spend our whole lives trying to be really static and not moving, when I have to do these ranges of motion, my body isn't gonna be ready for it. We need to train rotation, lateral flexion, extension, because the nature of what we do, we're gonna have to move this way. So we better have the capacity and tolerance to do so. Okay, think about how nice that is for all the paraspinal muscles, everything in the core, moving in this big range opposed to doing stuff like this, where again, how is that developing a full, well-rounded, resilient core? So last side here, you guys. Shoulders off the ground, low back press into the ground. Beautiful, last set. These keep rotations on the mission, switch them sides. So now, starting on the opposite side. Beautiful. So one of my favorite things, or favorite ways to train, especially as a firefighter, is unilateral strength, unilateral training. Far too often, again, I'm gonna beat this horse to death. And don't get me wrong, guys, I trained like a bodybuilder for a long time. It wasn't until I was in my mid-20s and I felt like I was 65 years old that I realized something needed to be changed. So, this is beneficial because we're standing opposed to sitting, but working both sides at the same time, because the weight is balanced out, my core doesn't have to work nearly as hard. Now, all of a sudden, we get into something like this. We're gonna do a little waiters clean to press. We're gonna go 6 per side, working one side of the body at a time, a little bit of dynamic movement again. So really challenging the core, because if all the weight is on this one side, you best believe this whole side of my body is working overtime. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but if I have a weight here, say I have a 50-pound weight here, across my body to my hip is around 4 times, meaning if I have 50 pounds here, I have 200 pounds at this hip. If I go up overhead, it's now 8 times. So I have 50 pounds here, 400 pounds. So instead of getting under a bar with crazy amounts of weight, increasing the likelihood of injury, I can use a 50-pound kettlebell and have what's equivalent to 400 pounds of weight here at my hip. Don't quote me on that math either. So we're gonna clean up, waiter position, press and down. Again, taking a shoulder movement and making it a full body exercise. Think about putting something from the ground up into a cabin on that fire truck. It's exactly what we're replicating here. On to that other side now. Not to mention, guys, training like this, it's just fun, man. Like, what doesn't look fun about that? I feel like a kid when it comes to this style of training. So we're gonna utilize similar setup, but now instead of using our core to facilitate rotation, we're gonna use our core to resist rotation. So like I said, we don't always wanna be static. We wanna make sure we can be dynamic, but in order to transfer force into things, we have to be able to brace with our core as well. So we need to train rotation, but we also need to train anti-rotation. So we're gonna go into this lunge position. We're gonna maintain this sort of elevated lunge position, so we're not gonna go all the way to the ground. The reason for that is legs are having to work. This isometric, again, working the quads, strengthening the knee, power off crest from here. So as you can see, the cable is wanting to pull me in. So I'm having to, again, muscle through the feet, ankles, everything to stabilize and pressing right out on that midline. We're gonna do 6 reps. Might not look like much, but trust me, you get down in the position, every muscle of the body's working. Look at my ankle working here. As I press out, watch the ankle working. All those little muscles in the ankle working. Oh, awesome. Guys, it's been 18 minutes. We've already burned 260 calories. So again, it goes to show when we're rocking and rolling and moving around, great things are happening. People ask me all the time, no way you maintain that size using just kettlebells. Look at the pump we got going, folks. Like, you can still apply things like hypertrophy, progressive overload using kettlebells. You can have the same bodybuilding principles. It's just a lot more multifaceted. So again, you guys, that was 3 sets. We did 6 reps per side there, 6 reps per side here. When it comes to the rep scheme, I'm never really operating in that like 1 to 4 range with like strength. I'm never really going beyond 15, like muscular endurance. We're kind of operating right in between that strength and hypertrophy range. So something like this, for me to press that kettlebell with that hinge movement 6 per side, that's about a 7 out of 10, so I'm feeling pretty challenged. So if I use a lighter weight, maybe I would do 8, 10, 12 reps. But because we're going a little bit heavier, reduce the amount of reps, really focus on honing in on that form. So we're gonna rock and roll from there and keep on trucking here. So now you guys, we're gonna get into a little deficit push-up. So taking a traditional movement, and again, now we're just adding another component to contribute to better function, better ability, more range of motion. So let's do just a traditional push-up. We're putting our hands up on the horn of the kettlebell, trying to get that chest as close to the ground as possible. Really nice range of motion, really good stretch, and then press up there. The only thing here, in order to add a little bit of a core component, we're gonna add in a knee drive. So press, knee comes up, stability. So you guys think about rotational movement. We worked the lateral portion of the core. For that first movement, we opened up the posterior chain, things along the back. And now with that knee drive, we're working more the anterior aspect of the core to really get into some deep core muscles, hip flexors. Again, we're rocking our own here, gotta get a sweat going. So from here, we're gonna go into a little bear plank drag. So again, working some anterior rotation here. Approach to the high plank position, changing things up a little and going into this bear plank position. The idea of these, I want to keep that low back as flat as possible. I should, in theory, be able to put a ball on my back and have it not fall off as I go. 5 per side, 10 total here. Beautiful, sliding that forward. Give ourselves a couple seconds. Have a little drink. Set number 2. Again, this is gonna depend on your fitness level, but I'm keeping reps as minimal as possible. Again, I got stuff to do, you got stuff to do. Let's not dilly-dally, let's get the work done. So really start the other side. Case in point, let's see if I can put my money where my mouth is. Not too shabby. All right, again, another 10, 15 seconds. Rest, and then we're gonna get in the last set here before finishing with a little bit of arms. Come on now. And again, I used to train like a bodybuilder. Still a lot of good fundamentals there. If you're not a bodybuilder, why are you training that way? We're training to reflect the things we do and experience day to day. You got kids, I'll tell you right now, do movements like this is gonna prevent you from throwing your back out, picking your kid's shoe up a lot more than a lot of traditional machine stab movements are. Quite honestly, guys, if I had to get rid of everything in this gym, I would keep these. Everything else can go. I can get about 90% of the things that I want done with one of these. Rogue, sponsor me. Don't mind if you do. The chances of that are pretty slim to none, but hey. All right, guys, so we're gonna do 2 arm movements, again with the kettlebell. I have this beautiful cable machine behind me that would serve very well, but I know a lot of you guys are busy parents. You're at the fire station where they don't have one of these nice machines, so let's use what we have at hand. So first question is, why am I doing these from my knees? Well, if I'm doing it from my knees, I'm not getting any momentum from my legs, so I'm really isolating the muscles I'm working. So we're gonna do a horn curl. So holding the kettlebell horn on either side in this kind of hammer grip orientation, not only developing the biceps, but really working that brachialis and forearm. We're gonna do 10 there. Don't mind my vinegar strokes face, I apologize, I'm just trying my best here. This is what, it's the reality of training, it's not pretty. And then we're gonna go overhead. Again, glutes engaged to support that low back. Elbows coming down and up. Again, even here, guys, like heart rate's getting not working our biceps. And again, an orientation of like picking stuff up off the ground. I love the horn curl because not only are we working our arms, we're also working grip strength. That's one of the many reasons why I love kettlebells. We're getting there, we're getting there. One thing I think you guys have to consider as well is when I talk about workout duration, you gotta remember that although it's a eustress, meaning a good stress, we got distress on the bad side, we got eustress on the good side. Working out is a eustress because it's gonna cause a beneficial adaptation in the body, but it's a stressor nonetheless. We start going beyond 40, 45, 50 minutes, we start to have some issues with like excess accumulation of cortisol, increased inflammation. So that's again, with your job as a first responder, you're probably sleep deprived. Maybe your recovery isn't optimal because of many different factors in your life. We wanna make sure that our exercises or exercising isn't contributing to these like stressors or distress. We want it to be short enough that we're getting all the benefits, but we're not getting all the negative ramifications of training for an hour and a half. You're not 20 anymore. You just can't get away with that stuff like you used to. Unless you're a professional athlete and your job is strictly to train and recover. But although I would consider firefighting being a professional athlete, because you're a professional and being paid to be in shape, we don't have the salary nor the time off that a professional athlete would. And that is pretty much it, you guys. So we had about 4 working sets. Every single exercise is supersetted with another. It's been 34.5 minutes and we haven't stopped. So in 34 minutes, let's go ahead and stop the watch here. We've managed to burn in 34 minutes and 30 seconds, 450 calories. Average heart rate of 130, which is about an aerobic run for me, all in that short amount of time. So for anyone that says, I don't have the time, I don't have the equipment, we did this with about 85% free weights in 34 minutes. Got a great workout in a very optimal duration of time. Again, guys, it doesn't have to be complicated if you just go into something with the right intention, the right knowledge, the right structure. We can be super effective with our time. If we go into the gym with no plan, no direction, we're not gonna get nearly the benefits, and it's gonna be frustrating. The last thing you want when we go into the gym and we only maybe have 35, 40 minutes is to walk around, you know, aimlessly doing exercises that we don't really know the reason to why we're doing them. So train hard, train smart. That's basically a full day of training for me as a career firefighter of 10 years, a fitness coach, and someone who just loves to train. So I'm looking forward to bringing you guys a ton more of this content. Stay tuned, subscribe. We'll see you next time.